Logan 694, Newquay ground, information November. Correct, expect runway tree 0. Climb flight level 060 on runway centerline, then expect radar vectors, pace, squawk 1626.
Welcome back to the channel, fellow aviators. In the last episode, we started flying for a real airline, flying real routes in the freelance mode. Before we get started, I would like to take a moment to thank everyone who has liked, subscribed, left a comment. It has really helped out the channel, as the channel has been growing a lot over the last couple weeks. So I appreciate it and thank you very much. One thing you may notice down in the description is I have a Discord. I probably don't talk about it as much as I should because I'm not necessarily great at self-promotion, but it is a great place, friendly group of people. Come over and share your screenshots, your sim rigs, ask some questions, provide some irrelevant takes on things. Would love to have you join. All right, having said all that, as you can see from the main screen, I have 40 out of 200 experience points necessary to upgrade to the next level. And if we look at what I've accomplished, I've done all 4 legs. We have our final one remaining. And at the very top here is the time I'm required to complete it in, which is only a couple hours from now. So we're going to get crack-a-lackin' immediately. So hopefully when we complete this, we should come back and see not only the 10 points for this mission, but since I completed all 5, a doubling of our experience points and halfway to our upgrade. All right, so I think that's probably enough talking. Let us meet out on the airport and we will get going. I will see you all in just a second. All right, welcome back. We are in the aircraft getting ready to start up. But before we get going, I have added one extra thing that I'm interested to see how it performs, which is Beyond ATC with the FSLTL traffic injector. So that should give us some real traffic. And I've always liked Beyond ATC in terms of their voices. I think they're really top notch. I have had some issues, and we haven't actually used Beyond ATC since I think maybe episode 2 or 3. And those issues have been not being able to understand a takeoff clearance, but let's see if it's improved. And I'm excited to use either this or say intentions as a substitute for air traffic control. I think eventually we should probably try to get on VATSIM and explore that. But for now, let's just check out Beyond ATC and see how it copes with our flight. All right, so as always, the very first thing we're going to do is get our control locks off. Make sure all our controls are functioning properly. And then come over here and get our master battery switch on. And we will start our pre-oiler. And I have found you can obviously use the tablet as we talked about in the last episode, but if you go approximately, 15 seconds or so, that generally seems to be about enough. And of course, since I'm talking to you, I completely lost count. That's probably good enough. All right, next thing we want to do is we'll bring up the number 1 engine. We're going to bring the throttle all the way up, and then we'll hit the fuel on for about 8 seconds or so. You don't want to over prime it or under. Let's see how that works out. And let's get our very first engine started. And right now, just feathering the prop, just kind of back and forth until it catches.
Your flight will be monitored until you land and shut down the engines.
And looking for about 1,000 or so on the RPM, right about there. That should be enough. And now we are going just to repeat the process for the other side. probably already dinged myself since I'm not using the checklist like a dumbass, and I forgot to get the beacon on. All right, that should be good. Same thing here. We'll go ahead and bring our throttle all the way up. Right fuel pump on. And same thing. Nice, easy start. And from here, we will turn our master avionics, our inverters, and our generators on. And as we're getting ready to get going here, I actually have a couple tips that have caught me out several times. And it actually had to look this up. There is, you see that right there, that storm window? You can open that up if your aircraft temperature is getting too high, and that actually works. It'll bring the temperature down. The problem is, and I think it's a bug, if you attempt to take off with that window open, the aircraft will crash. It will, say you've had an accident, and then it'll reset you up at altitude, but since the window is open, it then crashes again, sets you up at altitude, crashes again, and you get into this loop that you can't get out of. You literally have to exit the game. I thought it was maybe, before I looked it up, I just thought I was maybe doing something wrong. I wasn't sure exactly. Because you actually can do the full run-up, no problem whatsoever. And you actually, just as you get airborne, maybe about 50 feet, it crashes. So that is a big deal right there. Make sure you keep that. If you open that window up, make sure you close it before takeoff. Provided me a lot of aggravation. The second thing, as we look down here, let's just get rid of this also, by the way, is right here that I'll circle, the pitch trim. You have to have that on or the autopilot system will not work. And it was like, I think the second flight, I didn't have it on and the autopilot didn't work. So I ended up hand flying, I don't know, like a couple 100 miles. And I thought maybe I must have had some sort of failure in the aircraft. And then on the third flight, when it happened again, I looked it up, and then that is obviously the issue. The pitch trim has to be on for the aircraft to work. So while I'm busy yapping away, let's go ahead and turn that on. And we can also just turn on our taxi light before I forget, and our nav light. And then let's bring in Beyond ATC and see how that works for us.
Wind 265 at Niner. Visibility 10 miles or more. Few clouds at 900. Temperature 18. Dew point 15. QNH 1020. VFR conditions. Landing and departing runway. Tree 0. Transition level 03. 0. Read back all hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information November. St Mawgan Air Base Airport information. November. 1257 Zulu. Wind 265 at Niner. Visibility 10 miles or more. Few clouds at 900. Temperature 18. Dew point 15. QNH 1020. VFR conditions. Landing and departing runway. Tree 0. Transition level 03. 0. Read back all hold.
Good morning, ground. Logan 694. Ready to copy IFR clearance with information November.
Logan 694, Newquay ground, information November. Correct, expect runway tree 0. Climb flight level 060 on runway centerline, then expect radar vectors, pace, squawk 1626.
Just trying to write all that stuff down. All right, here we go. And Logan 694, expecting runway 30, climb 060, runway heading, radar vectors apace, squawking 1626.
Logan 694, read back correct. Call me back when ready for start or taxi.
All right, Logan 694, call you back when we're ready to taxi. All right, so before we get going here, let us get our altimeter going, which is 1626. So wait till it fires up. 26, and make sure we're on alt. Then we are going to need to open up our EFB because I made my flight plan. If you want to use Beyond ATC, you're going to need to use SimBrief. And so what we're going to do from here is open up Flight Planner, come up here, open up the folder for import, load plan file. Bring it in from my PC. I'm not sure if you can see this or not since it's OBS. And from here, I go for my downloads, and then I have the download from Say Intentions, and then we will send it to our avionics. Then we can come down here, and we're just going to double check that that flight plan went in, and it did not. So we're going to try that one more time. Seems like this happens on occasion. So we will, once again, open up the EFB. Looks like the flight plan is in here. EPACE, arrival procedure. We'll have to do that later en route. So let's once again send it ATC and avionics. And we are not going to go up to there. We're going to go up to, I don't think it necessarily matters, 160. And all right, so of course, now that we are on live, it doesn't want to seem to pick it up. We'll try this one more time. And if it doesn't work, I will just put it in manually, the flight plan. I'll just cut us out of here so we don't waste too much time here. EFB. We have it here. Send it to our avionics. And let's see what happens. All right, well, that's a simism, or it's probably on me. I'm probably doing something wrong. So I'm not going to have you wait here. I'm just going to build it up in the box real quick, and I will get right back to you. And we'll taxi out of here and get going. Okay, I'm back with you. As you see, I just manually entered in the route and the arrival, since we'll be doing a star on the way in. All right, having said that, next thing we need to do is make sure we get our altitude dialed in, which will be 6,000 feet, and we can put in our runway heading, which will be approximately 30. We can just fine tune it once we get to the runway. And I think at this point, we are ready to go. Ground, Logan 694, ready to taxi.
Logan 694, runway 30 taxi via Alpha, Alpha Tree, Alpha 4, Bravo.
And Logan 694, we are cleared to taxi runway 30 via Alpha, Alpha 3, Alpha 4, and Bravo. All right, so from here, we can, I think I pretty much know where we're going, but just to show you the advantages of having Navigraph and SimBrief, we can pull up the Navigraph charts, which are just a better quality of charts than Lido. I think I've mentioned before in other videos, my airline uses Lido, and everyone is very unhappy because we had gone from the JEP charts. So we'll just type in where we are, come to here, come to taxi, and you're always going to want the 10-9 chart. You see 10-9, 10-9A. You might, on the large airports, you're going to see a lot bigger charts or a much longer listing. Just look for the 10-9 chart. That will be your taxi chart. And we are located right about there. I'll circle that if I remember. But for us, it's just going to be a U-turn out of here, and that will be it. All right, so we can close that down for now. And I think we are ready to taxi. All right, parking brake off, and we'll just hang a right turn here. You can, if you're flying a twin, use some differential power on your taxi. So I'm using just a little bit more left engine, as you see, to help me get around the corner. This aircraft actually taxis pretty well, but just a technique you can use. Recenter my track IR. So it's been a very quiet week at work. Today is Friday. I was on duty, reserve duty Monday through Thursday, and the bastards in scheduling did not call all week, which was great. As I've mentioned before in other videos, I love flying, really do. I've never really worked a day in my life. I've been a professional pilot since I was...
East Flight 53 November Lima, looking to pick up our clearance to Gatwick Airport.
I've been a professional pilot since the age of like 20.
East Flight 53 November Lima, Newquay ground, expect runway 30. Climb flight level 060 on runway centerline, then expect radar vectors TOC. Squawk 6206.
It's a little bit loud. If I can turn that down.
Expect runway 30. Climb flight level 060 on runway centerline, then expect radar vectors TOC. Squawk 6206. East Flight 53 November Lima.
East Flight 53 November Lima, read back correct. Call me back when ready for start or taxi.
Wilco, East Flight 53 November Lima.
Did you see me? I'm trying to change the volume. I'm sure that's
East Flight 53 November Lima, ramp 23, request pushback and engine start.
East Flight 53 November, Lima, Newquay ground, pushback and engine start approved. Face west.
Pushback approved. Face west, East Flight 53 November Lima.
So, a great week at work, obviously. As I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by the computer. I do love flying, but I do love getting paid not to work even more. Last week was definitely exciting. If I remember, I will tell you about my last week's adventure. Luckily had a great FO, really helped out.
Logan 694, contact Newquay Tower 134, decimal tree 8.
Logan 694, contact Tower 134, decimal 38. Oops, don't need a hold short here. Oop, didn't like that. That is the ILS, what we're seeing right there on our left there, is the ILS hold short. So in IFR conditions, you're going to want to hold short of that, and that is because you can interfere with the ILS beam, the localizer beam, as people are coming in. But since we're not IFR, we can come all the way up to the hold short. Tower, Logan 694, holding short, runway 30, ready to depart.
Logan 694, Newquay Tower, wind 265 at Niner, fly runway heading, runway 30, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared to depart, runway 30, runway heading, Logan 694. All right, let's make sure we got our landing lights on, and I think we are ready to get going. All right, so guys, let me know down in the description if you would like me to continue on with the Beyond ATC, if you think it enhances or adds anything to these flights. theoretically, with the traffic injectors, we should see real-world airlines flying their real-world schedules. So as we get into Manchester, we should be fighting for our, I shouldn't say fighting, but we'll be looking for our spots to get in, as they should sequence us in. My gosh, words are hard. All right, so let's just get our runway heading, make sure we're looking good on that, and we are ready to go. All right, putting all of our power in. Try not to over torque anything. You see a little bit low on the RPM, so I'll just bring those up.
Airborne time logged.
All right, pause or break, gear up. Let's see if I can go runway heading, not fly like a drunken sailor. All right, put our autopilot on. Make sure we get back on runway heading. Look at that, getting drifting off, and we can probably reduce the amount of climb. I don't think we need 2,000.
Logan 694, contact Newquay, departure 133.405.
And Logan 694, contact departure on 133.405. Logan 694. Good morning, Logan 694 checking in with you, 1500 for 6,000, runway heading.
Logan 694, Newquay departure, identified, climb to flight level 110.
Climb flight level 110, Logan 694.
Logan 694, turn right, heading 050. Expect further clearance in about 22 miles.
Right, Logan 694, right turn heading 050. All right, as we're kind of getting above takeoff now, we put our prop sync on. All right, gear up, flaps are up. Turn our taxiway lights off now. Probably should have taken that off on runway. Oh, that looks pretty right in front of us. I predict icing, but let's see. All right, another tip, and I'm sure we will demonstrate this later, is in the autopilot panel. If you need, after we level off, it's going to switch to ALT, alt mode. If you would like to descend, you need to manually push it back into what you see that right now is attitude mode. So it can be a little bit confusing sometimes. You dial in your altitude, you're on autopilot, and nothing happens. Then you try to adjust the trim, and it brings you right back up to your previously set altitude. So even though you've dialed in, let's say 3,000 feet, you're at 11, you put in the trim, nothing happens. It actually goes back and maintains 11,000, even though you've set whatever your altitude is. So the key is to go ahead and press on the attitude mode, and then put your trim in.
All aircraft be advised information. Oscar now current, QNH 1020.
Also, last week, I got a great tip from a subscriber who commented on my video last week as I had started leaning out the aircraft at around, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 feet. And according to the Duke manual, you do not need to lean. You only lean if you're in exceptional conditions, you know, above like maybe flight level 200. So awesome tip. Thank you for including that. And I just pass that along to you. Make sure this is nice and good. All right, temperature 61, so we will just put the auto heat on because it's only going to get colder as we continue to climb. And 5,000, climbing 11, so we are looking good. All right, what is our temperature?
Newquay, East Flight 53 November Lima, 1,200 feet.
All right, so it looks like we're about 10 degrees. We should probably...
East Flight 53 November Lima, Newquay departure. Good day. Identified. Climb to flight level 130.
We should be good.
Climb
for
to flight
icing.
level 130, East Flight 53 November Lima.
And,
East Flight 53 November Lima. Resume navigation.
Roger, resume own navigation, East Flight 53 November Lima.
I think the only downside so far is going to be trying to talk to you guys and dealing with air traffic control, but that's how it is in the real world. Many a conversations has been interrupted by our air traffic control as I'm flying someplace. What I was trying to get to as the general rule for icing, anything from 10 degrees Celsius or less, we're going to use probably some anti-ice if you enter into...
Logan 694, turn right, heading 065.
Right turn, 065, Logan 694. All right, drag that in there. What I was saying is anything for about 10 degrees or less, anytime you enter any, if you have any visible moisture, which would be a cloud, rain, you generally want to have your anti-ice off. Or in this aircraft, you can just kind of wait till it shows up on the windscreen, which in the last couple flights here in the UK, as I kind of went over about 14,000 feet every time I entered a cloud, we were picking up some icing. So we shall see. Oh, so what was my excitement last week? I actually had to do a low-level go-around. So coming into Philadelphia, it was my leg. I was doing the flying. And real short final, probably under 2 miles, maybe about a mile and a half, maybe. We were just behind a 737 Southwest, and just as he was taxiing off, he reported some FOD, foreign object debris, on the runway. Wasn't really sure what it was. I wasn't really concentrating.
Logan 694, contact London Control 118.775.
And Logan 694, contact London on 118.775. Good morning, London. Logan 694, checking in with you, 8,500 for 11,000.
Logan 694, London Control. Good day, radar contact. Climb to flight level 220.
Climb flight level 220, Logan 694. I'm actually a little bit interested to see how it vectors us or gets us the entire way.
Logan 694, cleared direct EPACE. Resume own navigation.
Direct to EPACE, Logan 694. All right, so the call for maintaining own navigation, I've got a feeling that means they are not going to really give us much more, but we'll see. All right, so we will put nav mode on. And as we can see from the map, we're just right of center line. So let's see really where EPACE is. Is that it right there? No. All right, so we'll come up here. This course looks good, and that should give us direct to EPACE right there. Perfect. So let's maintain this heading as we continue our climb up. So I was actually just saying I'm wondering how it's going to vector us for our star, which is, and the approach. We will see as we get there. So I was just short final, about a mile and a half, probably about 200-300 feet. And of course, with the foreign object debris, the tower had us go around. So it can turn into a little bit of a word salad, as you know, everything in the airlines is very regimented, right? So, you know, I'm going to hit the go around mode, and I will simply say go around flaps. The FO should then immediately move our flaps up one setting. I was flaps full, so we go to flaps 3, and then I'm waiting for the call out from the FO for positive rate, which then I'll order gear up.
London Control, East Flight 53 November Lima. Good day, flight level 100.
At that point, you know, I'm pulling runway heading and executing that.
East Flight 53 November, Lima, London Control, identified, climb to flight level 270.
Climb to flight level 270, East Flight 53 November Lima.
All right, so literally the comm does nothing for me. All right, and we're moving over to nav, so en route to E-Pace. So, you know, it's just a little bit, you're very, very busy, right? It's a little bit, not necessarily a startle factor, so you should always be prepared for a go-around anytime you have.
London Control, Endurance 984, flight level 130.
It can get a little bit, you know, problematic.
Endurance 984, London Control. Good day, identified, continue climb to flight level 280.
Continue climb to flight level 280, Endurance 984.
So anyways, it surprised the departure. We went out, runway heading, climbing up to, I think, just like 3,000 feet. Departure wasn't really prepared. They got kind of startled by the whole event, too. They asked us to make a left turn to whatever heading it was. We started going left. Then they're like, where are you going? We're like, we're going left to whatever heading they had assigned us. Like, oh, no, sorry, we mean right, go right. So a little bit of, they got a little bit panicky. They were very cool. There was no issues, but they could be just as surprised as we are. And then just turned around, came back and landed. The only mistake we did is we forgot to rearm the approach. So as I was coming in, trying to get myself, use nav mode to get me direct to a certain point, it just wouldn't pick up because I hadn't armed the approach. But we figured that out like very, very quickly, and executed the approach as normal. But I think this may have been the first kind of low-level go-around I've done in at least a couple years. I can't remember the last time. I've done multiple for weather, for the sequence being wrong. I'll let my FOs totally screw up the approach as long as it's not dangerous. As we talk a lot about, if you want to make a successful landing, you need to be a nice, successful, stabilized approach criteria. And to set that up, you need to understand energy management. And a lot of my FOs are just kind of new to that. And I can definitely try to talk them through it, and I do as a mentor. But sometimes the best way of learning is letting them kind of screw it up and giving them the opportunity to make the mistake. And as long as it's not dangerous or I'm going to have to do any extra paperwork, I let them do it. So I had an FO, especially in a 321 if you're heavy. I mean, for most jets, you can either go down or you can slow down, but you're definitely not doing both. And so I had an FO coming into Denver. We were like 25 minutes early, so we were looking really good. But he decided, we got pulled off the arrival. And so he's like, oh, I can go whatever speed I want, right? And I go, yeah, absolutely. Chuckling to myself, knowing this was not going to work already. We're like 20 miles away from the airport. So he just kept his speed up the whole way, and then tried to slow down at the last second. And we didn't make our stabilized approach criteria. So, you know, I just leaned over to him and go, you know, we're not making this, right? And he was all stressed out. I'm like, just relax. We're just gonna need to go around. So whenever you're ready, just call for the go around and we'll do it. And he did a great job. You know, he was very apologetic the rest of the trip. I'm like, no, don't apologize, man. I saw that like 20 miles out. I let you make that mistake. So you now learn proper energy management, especially in a heavy jet. So, all right. So we're looking at 15, coming up on 16,000 for 22. We definitely have a ways to go. So I will just check you out here, and I might leave a recording.
Virgin 19 Zulu Heavy, contact Shannon Control 132.15. Have a good day.
Center on 132.15, Virgin 19 Zulu Heavy.
I might leave it recording just to see how if it does pick up the star we're supposed to do. If not, I'll just bring you in as we kind of self-do it, or I'll just figure out what happens here. This is, like I said, one of the kind of limitations I've seen with Beyond ATC is it's good up to this point, and then it kind of shuts itself off. But we will just see what happens next. All right? So I will see you all in just a few minutes.
Logan 694, London Control. Expect AXIS 1 Mike, runway 23 right.
And London Control, Logan 694, expect AXIS 1 Mike for 23 right. Logan 694. All right, so it's given us the arrival, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we are just outside Monaco, then we got Pepsi, and then we have AXCIS, which starts the star, the AXIS 1. And so we just want to verify we have everything there, so we should have AXIS at flight level 200, Monty, Wrexham.
Speedbird 2, Victor, contact Manchester Director 121.355.
Wall, Mersey, and then...
Contact Manchester Director 121.355. Speedbird 2 Victor.
Mersey should be at 7,000. All right, so the star
Endurance
checks...
984, descent to flight level 260.
Descent to flight level 260, Endurance 984.
And we have really no notes on here that we want to look at. You see at the very top, max speed 250 below 10,000. That's just a standard thing, unless otherwise authorized by ATC. So maybe the UK allows faster speeds. I know when I fly in Latin America, they do as well below 10,000. But in the United States, no faster than 250 below 10,000. That's really not waived unless you're declaring an emergency. And then we're looking at the AXIS 1M down here at the bottom on the routing. And it says the same thing, AXIS, Monty, Wrexham, Wall, and then Mersey at 7,000. All right, so the star looks good. We'll come back here to airports, then we'll hit approach, and we're expecting the 23 right, so we'll select the ILS 23 right. And we should have a localizer frequency of 109.5, so it has put it in there, but on standby, so we will transfer that to our active frequency, and a final approach course of 232, and I have set that on the CDI. Final approach will be at 3,500, and our decision altitude will be 449 or 200 on the RA. Come down here, the RA is set at 200, so that checks out as well. Airport elevation's 257 feet, so I'm going to want to be fully configured by approximately 1,300 feet, which will mean full flaps in and on speed. Minimum safe altitude will be 3,500 feet to the north, 2,400 feet to the southwest, and 3,100 feet to the southeast. Missed approach, climb to 3,500 straight ahead until passing 750 feet, or DME in 3 max MCT inbound, whichever is latter, then turn right onto track 356, then as directed. All right, looking at the plan view, highest obstacle will be...
Logan 694, AXIS 1 Mike, runway 23 right. Report ready for descent.
And 694, we are ready to descend.
Logan 694, AXIS 1, Mike, runway 23 right. Verify ready for descent.
Logan 694, runway 23 right, we are ready to descend.
Logan 694, AXIS 1 Mike, runway 23 right. Verify ready for descent.
Oh boy. Logan 694, AXIS 1 Mike, 23 right, ready to descend.
Logan 694, AXIS 1 Mike, runway 23 right. Verify ready for descent.
Let's see, this is where it starts getting retarded. London, Logan 694, AXIS 1 Mike, for runway 23 right, we are ready to descend. Flight level 200.
Logan 694, AXIS 1 Mike, runway 23 right. Verify ready for descent.
Logan 694, ready to descend.
Logan 694, descend to flight level 200.
Descend flight level 200, Logan 694. All right. So that's kind of the retardedness that you have to deal with sometimes, but let's come down to here. And then we want to hit attitude, and then we'll just dial in a little bit here to get us down. And let's see if if it will activate. There we go, to AXCIS. All right, so we are still underway. So, and as you notice, I was able to figure out the sound setup, and that is you just have to go into the Beyond ATC and reduce the sound there. I was hoping the radio would work. Anyways, the plan view, highest obstacle, 2,047 feet. No other notes that we need to know about, and that should be it for the brief. All right, what's an abbreviated brief? Once again, I do have a tutorial, which I will link in the upper right here if you would like to, a full brief and how to read the chart and complete. 21 descend in 200. And you probably heard me mention it in other videos. If you look at the airspeed, we are into the yellow. You can operate there. I see a lot of content creators trying to avoid that like the plague. That is just your VA or maneuvering speed. Means no control, abrupt input.
Logan 694, descend to flight level 070.
Logan 694, descend flight level 070. So we're just going to go ahead and dial in 070, so keep it coming down. All right, 7,000 set. Once again, VA just means that's maneuvering speed, that yellow arc, and you can't operate in there. You just can't have abrupt control inputs, and you obviously wouldn't want to operate in there in anything beyond light turbulence, if even that, right? So feel free to use that. And of course, as we continue to descend, if you see my manifold pressure, it's now continuing to increase as we're getting more pressure. So we've gone from 35 back up to 38. So we will just pull back a little bit since we're getting towards top of red line. Also, en route, we encountered a little bit of icing. And so if we look down here at the anti-ice, we have windshield heat on the fuel vents left and right, the pitot heats left and right, and the prop left and right, which we're going to go ahead and leave on as we come through this cloud layer. Okay, so we are set up on the approach. We're heading down to 070. This is the approach, and I have programmed in there the ILS 23 right. So we should be all set up. A little bit of an early descent here. We still got 10, 29, 40, 56, something like 60 miles to go before we get down there. So we don't need to keep coming down at this rate of descent. Once again, we'll come back up here. We will go up. Go a little bit up here. We don't quite need 070.
67 Lima, turn right,
Oops.
heading 130, climb to flight level
As you see, very sensitive.
366.
So now we're back into a little bit of
Turn
climb.
right, heading 130, climb to flight level 366, easy 467 Lima.
If I'd say one of the hardest things about flying this aircraft I've seen so far is not having a vertical speed mode is a little bit difficult. So a lot of times you're just kind of guessing, and these things are extremely sensitive. One more click and that should hopefully give us around 500 or so. There we go. All right, so I think probably once again, I don't want to make this too long, guys. I'm going to keep it recording, but I think I'll probably just go ahead and fast forward through some of this stuff as we get a little bit closer. We still got another 60 miles through this descent, so I'll probably bring you in probably as we're getting a little bit closer to the bottom of the descent and getting ready to make the actual approach into Manchester. All right, guys. Also, let me know what you think. I think, obviously, so far I've been pretty happy with Beyond ATC. Obviously, we had like a little bit of a mix-up there as I was not repeating back the words it wanted. But, you know, that's probably just a little bit of user error and learning how to use this system. I think the next flight we're going to bring in, say, intentions, so we can kind of compare both. As I kind of said before, I really like the voice modeling in Beyond ATC, but it is pricey, right? You're going to have to pay for those premium voices and the usage. The say intentions, I think I'm not the partner level, I'm just the one below that, so I'm not using its latest Living World update. But everything's kind of included and free. So the most important thing, I think, obviously, is usability. If it's correctly doing the things it needs to do, and so far I think Beyond the ATC is pretty good. I am a little bit interested to see if I'm going to have to make my own turn for the ILS, or if it's going to do that for us, if I'll get a landing clearance. So that remains all to be seen. But I'd like to see how Say Intentions handles this as well. So usability and completeness is my first criteria, and number two is going to be how accurate it is. And I don't think, I know Say Intentions is not going to be as good. I mean, Beyond AT uses regional dialects, whether I'm flying up in Scotland or England, if I'm down in the Caribbean, right? And I don't think Say Intentions is doing that. So, but let's check it out on the next flight. And if you guys have any tips or tricks, if you guys are using Beyond ATC, let me know what they are down in the comments below. And I think, as I said before, I think eventually I'd like us to get over on BATC, but the only issue with BATC, once again, is going to be the coverage. You know, London's really well covered, but what if I'm flying up into, northern England, and
Good afternoon.
I'm going
Control.
to
Blue Max 81 November
Norway.
Bravo.
So,
Descending via elbows 1
but we'll
right.
learn all that stuff
Flight
together.
level 203.
So, having said that, I'll catch you all in just a second.
81 November, Bravo, London Control, radar contact. Logan 694, contact Manchester Director 121.355.
121.355. As you see, I've really had to hustle down and kind of misjudge that a little bit. Boy, still coming right up on red line. Let's pull that all the way out. But I think we're going to make it 3 miles to go and 1,000 feet. All right, we're going to do it. Good morning, Manchester Director. Logan 694, 8,000, descending 7,000.
Logan 694, Manchester Director. Good afternoon, QNH 1017. Expect radar vectors for ILS runway 23 right.
All right, Logan 694, expect radar vectors for ILS runway 23 right. Logan 694. Oh, made it with a half a mile to go.
Negative, QNH 1017.
QNH 1017, Logan 694. All right, let's make sure we set our altimeter.
Logan 694, turn right, heading 090, descend to 5,000 feet, QNH 1017, vectors for the approach. Expect further clearance in about 26 miles.
And Logan 694, say again.
Negative, turn right, heading 090, descend to 5,000 feet and QNH 1017.
And heading 090, descend 5,000, QNH 1017, Logan 694. All right, let's get that set down to 5,000. Hit attitude. And let's start heading down. Got here. As they say, I have to kind of go back and forth, kind of
Manchester
massage
Director.
this.
Blue Max 81 November Bravo.
Way too much.
Flight level 117 with the numbers.
All right. We've got 26 miles down to 5,000 and 090.
Blue Max 81 November Bravo, Manchester Director, QNH 1017, expect radar vectors for ILS, runway 23 right.
And since we're off that, we can come down here.
QNH 1017, expect radar
Go to
vectors for
procedure
ILS, runway
here,
23
and
right. Blue Max 81 November Bravo.
load and activate. Then we'll move over to G-Lock. And we should be now set up for the approach. All right, so that's where we're heading, that way. And so they'll just hopefully vector us right around. Once again, so far, very impressed with Beyond ATC.
Blue Max 81 November Bravo, leave Dane heading 020. Expect radar vectors for ILS runway 23 right.
Leave Dane heading 020. Expect radar vectors for ILS runway 23 right. Blue Max 81 November Bravo.
Blue Max 81 November Bravo, turn right heading 010, vectors for the approach.
Turn right, heading 010, Blue Max 81 November Bravo.
Blue Max 81 November Bravo, descend to flight level 060.
Descend to flight level 060, Blue Max 81 November Bravo.
Manchester Director, Blue Max 82 Tango Lima. Good afternoon. Flight level 098 with information Golf.
Blue Max 82 Tango Lima, Manchester Director, QNH 1017, expect radar vectors for ILS runway 23 right.
QNH 1017, expect radar vectors for ILS runway 23 right. Blue Max 82 Tango Lima.
Max 82 Tango Lima, leave near sea heading 085. Expect radar vectors for ILS runway 23 right.
Leave Mersey heading 085. Expect radar vectors for ILS runway 23 right. Blue Max 82 Tango Lima.
Logan 694, turn left heading 080.
Left turn 080, Logan 694.
Blue Max 81 November Bravo, fly present heading, descend to 5,000 feet, QNH 1017.
Fly present heading. Descend to 5,000 feet. QNH 1017. Blue Max 81 November Bravo.
Blue Max 81 November Bravo, turn left heading 345, descend to 4,000 feet.
Turn left. Heading 345. Descend to 4,000 feet. Blue Max 81 November Bravo.
Logan 694, turn right heading 110, descend to 4,000 feet.
Turn right heading 110, descend 4,000 feet, Logan 694.
Blue Max 82 Tango Lima, turn right heading 085, vectors for the approach.
Turn right, heading 085, Blue Max 82 Tango Lima.
Logan 694, 3 miles from CF23R, turn right heading 205, maintain 3,500 feet until established on the final approach course, cleared ILS runway 23 right.
Say again, Logan 694.
Logan 694, 3 miles from CF23R, turn right heading 205, maintain 3,500 feet until established, cleared ILS runway 23 right.
Okay, Logan 694, heading 205, descend, maintain 3,500 feet till established, cleared for the ILS 23 right, Logan 694. All right, 205. No, they've already got us past center line, so I don't know if that's going to work. So we're just going to have to keep watching that. That's not going to bring us all around. They're a little bit late on that call, so I am going to bring us all the way around. And we're down to 3,500. All right, that's looking better. Now we can come up here. We'll hit approach.
Blue Max 81 November Bravo, contact Manchester Tower 118.63, bye-bye.
Contact Tower 118.63. Blue Max 81 November Bravo.
Okay, if we look up at our autopilot panel, we see we have our approach mode engaged. We have glide slope engaged. So we should be pretty good. We're making the approach, and we're coming up on 3,500. But we are beneath the glide slope, so it should pick it up. So we are looking good, I think, right here. One thing I like about this GNS 750 is you can move things around. Very convenient. All right, so we are outside of the final approach fix. We have our altitude set. We should intercept here in just a second. There we go. Airspeed's under 174 knots, which I need for my first notch of flaps. So let's go ahead and start pulling out a little bit of power. And we'll bring in our first notch of flaps. We want to get our airspeed under control, and we're looking for about 100 knots or so on final. And if we do this correctly, get everything all nice and set, and then when we kick off the autopilot, should be a relatively easy landing as everything is trimmed and set. All right, the glide slope picked up. We got some traffic interjected right in front of us.
Logan 694, contact Manchester Tower 118.63.
118.63, Logan 694. Right. Manchester Tower, Logan 694, ILS 23 right.
Logan 694, Manchester Tower, continue.
Continue, Logan 694. All right, in the real aviation world, that is not a clearance to land. So you would still not be cleared to come on down. Or you could continue to come on down, but you still can't.
All aircraft be advised information, hotel now current, QNH 1017.
All right, we come down here, we can take our prop sync off for landing. Airspeed's looking good. Gear extension speed is also 174, so we are good there. And we should come up on about 2,000 feet AGL. What is it, 374, something like that, 400 feet. So once again, all this is just technique. Don't need to get slowed up too early, but right about here, let's go ahead and bring our gear down.
Blue Max 81 November Bravo, exit right at Bravo Delta.
Exit right at Bravo Delta. Blue Max 81 November Bravo.
And I said roughly about 1,000 feet AGL, I'm going to want to kind of be on airspeed, final landing configurations. About 20 knots fast, but we still have one more set of flaps to go, so let's put them in now. About 1,500 feet AGL. And now we'll just use throttle to kind of hold around 100 knots.
Blue Max 81 November Bravo, monitor ground 121.855.
Ground 121.855. Blue Max 81 November Bravo.
All right, so we will see what they're going to give us, as always. I am landing. I'm not doing a go-around, as entertaining as that might be for you all on this flight.
Logan 694, wind 265 at 10, runway 23 right, clear to land.
Runway 23 right, clear land, Logan 694. Answered my own question there. I don't know, guys, what do you think? I think so far this Beyond ATC has been a pretty neat flight. I think it's done a real good job setting us up for a radar vectors. We didn't have a SID, standard instrument departure, out of the airport, but vectoring us to our flight plan and doing the arrival and the approach. It's come a long way since I kind of first used it. So let me know down in the comment section if you like this kind of stuff, the more fully immersive. I think as I'm coming in here to land, I'll probably edit out some of the stuff or just kind of maybe fast forward. It is probably going to be a little bit long of a flight, but I definitely like more of the enhanced realism. Real airline route, flying for a real airline, and we're using real ATC procedures, if not somewhat modified. Interesting. So we're definitely a little left of center line, so let's go ahead and kick off. This is probably an offset localizer. I kind of want to stay on glide slope. Get a little bit high. right there. If I was flying for my airline, that would probably be a go-around at that stage. So that crossing traffic under a couple hundred feet. It's not even technically clear. This guy, I doubt, is going to stop. And that would definitely be a go-around.
Manchester Tower, Blue Max 82 Tango Lima,
right, airspeed's
ILS
good.
runway 23 right. Blue Max 82 Tango Lima, Manchester Tower, continue.
My trim is all wacky.
Roger, Blue Max 82 Tango Lima.
Landing time logged.
That was not great.
Yeah, we definitely touched down.
Yeah.
Logan 694, exit right at Bravo Delta.
That's right, Bravo Delta is from Logan 694, which is right here. Oh, right into the traffic. All right, no one watch this.
Logan 694, contact ground 121.855.
121.855, Logan 694. Logan 694, taxi to parking.
Logan 694, welcome to Manchester Airport. Say parking or advise if need assignment.
And 694, you'll just be parking on the ramp. See how it handles that.
Logan 694, say again, ramp number.
I have no idea. All right, so it actually even wants parking assignments. All right, so that's good to know. All right, so that landing, that was kind of sucky. So interesting, once again, as I cut off the autopilot, it should have been...
Logan 694, say again, ramp number.
And I think I'm just going to ignore her. And we will just park it, I don't know, right here. All right, so next flight, I'm guessing going to have to figure out where we're parking. Obviously, it's a little bit made for the airlines, for gates, all that kind of stuff, but we can figure that out. All right, so let's just end this flight, and I will rejoin you at the on-air page. All right, so we have completed the flight. What did I not get the safety bonus for? Oh, is that you? Yeah, because I left the lights on when we shut it down. All right. All right, let's go back to the home screen. And now I'm expecting to see 100 points or experience points in the dashboard. All right. Apply for a route. We'll do that later. Oh, so I can show it without applying for everything. All right. So I will assume we've got our points. This has been a very, very long flight. So I'll probably pick up another 5 flights. Once again, you can change how many flights you want to pick up. Right? So, just do that as a document. Maybe let's do that for the Logan Blacksquare Duke. That looks like it's the same route, or is it not? Oh, Dice to Manchester, Manchester to, okay. Back to Edinburgh, Sunburg, Dice. Yeah, it's very similar. I might choose a different route structure so we can maybe go to a couple different airports. But other than that, once again, guys, I appreciate all the support. It's been going really well, and that's all thanks to you guys. So I really appreciate everyone who's been watching and subscribing and commenting. Please go ahead and join the Discord if you guys would like. I'd like to have you over there, and I will catch you all in the next one. All right, take care for now. Bye.